Okay, so we are back into the series that we are on from Curious out of this year. And it's preparing us for the miracle service that is coming in a few weeks. And what we've been talking about is possessing the benefits of your possession, possessing your benefits. And we know we're in Deuteronomy 1:21. We won't revisit some of these. I'll just say them so you can go back and read what we've already shared. Deuteronomy 1:21, Luke 8. That will be basically the whole chapter. Romans 10, verse 17. Romans 10, 13 through 15. And so we left off talking about how faith comes by hearing. And that in order to possess the benefits of the possession that God has already given you, Romans 10:17. Right? And so faith, we have to hear what God has said in order for us to know what it is that we possess and know what the benefits are in that possession. We use the example of the children of Israel, as in Deuteronomy, God tells them, go up and possess the land that I've given your forefathers, and not to be afraid, right? Not to be dismayed. And they decided to make a recommendation, the Israelites made a recommendation to Moses, that if you could send out spies that will go and check out the land, and the spies came back, and two came back and said, we're well able to take that land, but they are grapes the size of a man's head, right? Pomegranates, and the land flowing with milk and flowing with honey. That we can have houses that we didn't build, lands that we didn't dig, vineyards that we didn't plant. Right? So here it is, the possession that God has given, and then these guys come back and start talking about the benefits of that possession. Now, some spies came back and said that we are grasshoppers in the eyes of the giants that are in the land. Well, now, let's take a look at that. We're grasshoppers in the eyes of the giants that are in the land. Yet, there are houses that we didn't build. Now, let's just imagine that for a moment. Let's imagine that for a moment. There are giants in the land, and we are like grasshoppers. So imagine yourself at the height you are now, looking at a grasshopper. Do you think you could live? No. Do you think you could fit? Well, no. Do you think that you could see? Or maybe not. But do you think you could find the house of a grasshopper? Yet alone, see in that house, or get in that house, not to mention, dare try to live in it. But can a grasshopper find your house? Can a grasshopper see your house? Can a grasshopper get in your house? Could a grasshopper live in your house? How much space do you think the grasshopper house has versus the grasshopper coming in your house? Who house you think the grasshopper want more? His house or yours? What's the bigger benefit, the greater benefit to the grasshopper? Chilling at his crib or living in yours? So you got spies that say that we are grasshoppers in the eyes of the giants in the land. And some others say, but when we go in, we get to be like grasshoppers living in big people's houses. Oh man, y'all missed that completely. You missed that completely. Every human being on the face of the planet at some point wants a house bigger than they need. And here God is saying that if you will hear me, hear what what I'm saying to you? That you could go into a place that I've given you possession, and the possession that I've given you has benefits of a house that's like a grasshopper being in your crib. So instead of being afraid that we look like grasshoppers in the eyes of these giants, we ought to be celebrating that the land that God has given us has houses the size of giants. Amen. Now, I don't know about you. I don't know if you've been to Meijer recently. I don't know if you've been to Mariano's recently. I don't know if you've been to Jewel's recently. I don't know if you've been to Whole Foods recently. But I'm yet to see a grape the size of my head. But you have people saying, and those people typically are you and the people we hang with, saying, don't go and do what God says. Don't go and possess what God said He is giving you as a possession, because there are giants, there are obstacles, there are things bigger than you, scarier than you there. So don't go. Although you have some others saying, but when you go, there are grapes the size of your head. But in order to go, you have to hear. Why? Because faith comes by what? Hearing. When people are telling you you can't go in and possess what God said to possess, they're speaking what? Fear to you. Why are they speaking fear? Because they can't hear God. So if you can't hear God, of course you're going to have fear. Because you're left with hearing what you know. When God is speaking, He is sharing knowledge. Not information. He's sharing knowledge. He is telling you something, making known something to you, disclosing something to you that you previously didn't know was there to be disclosed or known. Fear causes us to perish. Fear causes us to be paralyzed. Fear causes us to slowly deteriorate, for us to be destroyed, because we are operating outside of hearing. But when we're hearing, we're getting knowledge that we didn't have. What does that mean, preacher? Hosea 4:6 says, my people are destroyed because of a lack of knowledge. Well, no, it doesn't really say that. Thank you. It says my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, but they're destroyed because they rejected the knowledge that God gave them. Read all of Hosea 4:6. We reject God's knowledge. So God says to go and possess something. Well, God, I haven't been to school for that. I said go possess it. God tells us to go possess something, but God, I don't know anybody over there. I said go possess it. God says go possess something, but my credit isn't good enough. I said go possess it. God said go possess something. You said, but my health isn't good enough. He said, I said go possess it. I said go possess it because I've already given it to you as a possession. And if you will hear me, if I say hear. See, if you will hear me, instead of operating off what you previously heard, you will be able to go in, and when you get to the place I told you I've given you for possession, you just got to show up and say, this is my land. You know the Word of God says that the whole earth is groaning for the ones who own it to show up. The whole earth is looking for the owners to show up. Because the people that are operating like their owners are squatters who never own anything, which is why they destroy everything they squat on. But we who have been called out of that place of darkness into his marvelous light, we have been called out of the place of separation from him back into full relationship with him. We've been called out of the place where we were the cursed back into those who are the blessed.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus.
We've been put back in that pre-Adamic fall state where God said, we're going to create the earth for this gift called mankind, and then I'm going to give mankind authority over the gift that I made for him and for her. But if we don't operate and go into, listen, it's not at every Walmart, but there's some Walmarts that have this big tube in the middle of the front of the store. I mean, it's huge. It's huge. 4 people could get in it, right? And what it's for, and they got lockers right next to it and chairs right next to it. And what it's for is for when people call and place an order, that it goes into a program that when you show up at Walmart, you don't need to ask anybody to give you what you ordered. All you need to do is to walk up to the booth, to this big circular booth, put your information in so it can identify you're the owner of something, and it delivers to you, the owner, what you own. But until you come get it, what you own stays there. Being no benefit to anybody. So here we are. The whole world earth is groaning for us to show up and say, oh yeah, by the way, that's my money. By the way, that's my money. By the way, that's my business. By the way, that's my car. By the way, that's my building. By the way, that's my house. By the way, that's my invention. By the way, that's my... They're waiting for you to show up and say they're holding your stuff. But if you don't show up, they're going to eventually take ownership of your stuff and destroy your stuff. Well, I know I'm in the right place. There ain't no question in my mind.
Hallelujah.
None whatsoever. I'm in the right place, and I'm talking to the right people.
Amen. Amen.
You quiet because you ain't showing up to get your stuff because you've been hurting and not hearing. Not that God isn't speaking, not that you don't hear him talking, but we're rejecting what he is saying because we're too afraid because of things that we're looking at by our natural senses instead of walking by faith and saying, the heck with my son. So we are being destroyed. We have lack, we have insufficiency, we have needs that are going unmet because we're not operating by faith. We are sitting there moving by sight. So as days go on, we get more worried, we get more stressed, we get more angry, we get more disappointed because we're not doing what he said to do. He said, I already gave it to you. I didn't tell you to go fight for it. I told you to go and say it's yours. Because all the that you're asking me for, every open door you're asking me for, every deliverance you're asking me for, every healing you're asking me for, every relationship you're asking me for, every opportunity you're asking me for, everything you're asking me for is in the place that I created, knowing you were going to need the stuff that's in it. But if you don't go to the place and possess it, you can't possess the benefits inside of it. The stuff is in the place. Say, my stuff is in the place.
My stuff is in the place.
See, as long as you stay out of the place, you're going to be out of the stuff. Oh, I know that's right. I know that's right. Well, we've got to get beyond this thinking that there's something we need to do besides what God tells us to do. Oh, God, it can't be that easy. He said, who said it was easy? I never said it, God said, I never said it was easy. I just made it easy for you. But I didn't say it was easy. It's just easy for you. When Jesus died, was it easy? When Jesus was whipped, was it easy? When Jesus was beaten, was it easy? When Jesus was ridiculed, was it easy? When Jesus carried the cross, was it easy? When Jesus bled, was it easy? When he laid on the cross completely buck naked, was it easy? When he had to watch his mother, watch him suffer, was it easy? When Jesus went to hell, was it easy? No, it wasn't easy. But salvation for you and I is what? Easy.
Hallelujah.
But it means nothing if we don't get in the place where our possession is. We won't experience any benefits. I mean, it's really quite that simple. It's really quite that simple. We've got to stop looking at ourselves the way we look at ourselves and look at ourselves the way God looks at us. What he says about us has got to be right, and what we say about us has got to be wrong. And what anybody else says about us that's not what he says about us has got to be wrong too.
Amen. That's right.
Who you think you are? No. Here's the problem. The problem is who you think I am that caused you to say what you say. I know who I am. I know whose I am. I know what I am. And I know whose I am and what I am is given to me for who I am, by what I am, and I'm going to get my stuff he gave to me.
That's right. That's right.
See, it's impossible for you because you don't know who I am.
That's right.
But I know who I am. I know whose I am. I'm the God that makes all impossible things possible. I'm the God that takes a no and makes it a yes. I'm the God that says what they say don't do, I say you can do. I would have said do, but that don't sound right. So we have to get beyond this place of fear and paralyzation. But watch this. Part of fear is thinking you know something that you know you don't know. I mean, just consider that for a moment. How many things do we act like we know that we know we don't know, but we act like we know because nobody know we don't know it, but when we mess up, they know we didn't know it anyway. I mean, how long do we pretend like we are something that we're not? That we're someplace that we're not. And I'm not saying, listen, so let me correct that. Let me make sure I adjust that. So y'all don't think I'm going reneging on what I previously said. No, here's the thing. God said, I've given you another possession. You think you don't own it. God said, I've given you benefits. You think you have none. God said, I declare you the winner. And the fight hasn't started, so you don't get in the fight because you think you got to win the fight. The fight is won. He just needs you to show up so it can be declared you're the winner. So you think you're something you're not. You think you're a loser. Loser. You think you got to prove something to somebody. You think you got to win the favor of people. You think people got to like you. Yeah, you think you got to know all of the cool kids. God said you do know the cool kids. The cool kids are my kids, and you're one of my kids. Amen. But until we begin to operate this way from our inner man out, we boldly, fearlessly Go after what God has given us to possess. And it doesn't make a difference who's there in your stuff. It's still my stuff. I don't care who's in it. I don't care who's got it. I don't care what their name is. Listen. You got my stuff and I'm here. Thank you for keeping it. Thank you for watching it. Thank you for cleaning it. Thank you for warming it. Thank you for straightening it up. Thank you for filling it. Thank you for growing it. But it's my stuff and I want it now. I want my stuff. Say, I want my stuff.
I want my stuff.
Okay, then you got to go get it.
Let's go.
You got to go get it. If there's no work of your hands, there'll be no fruit for your labor, because there won't be any labor. I hear what I'm saying to you.
Amen.
I mean, are y'all really hearing what the Lord is saying to you? If you don't put your hands to the task that He tells you to put your hands to, you're not going to see the results that He says to see. Now watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. I was like, well, you sure you want me to just share that story? He said, yeah, I want you to share that one. Let's go to Luke 19. Let's go to Luke 19. Let's start with this one. I don't know what to do when we get there.
Yeah.
Amen. We'll put on the streaming.
Luke 19. Confirm something. Before I give y'all all the scriptures. Take us to Greece. Look at it.
Amen.
Okay, 28 through 35. Now, this is the story of Jesus when He was coming into Bethpage and Bethany. And, well, it's Bethany near Bethpage, but He was coming in, and this is right before He's getting ready to ride in on this donkey, right? And you know where they throw the leaves down, the palms down, and say, you know, hail, hail to the King, Hosanna, glory in the highest. You know, remember that? We do talk about that around Easter,
Yes.
right? You know, which is really interesting. But that's another story we leave that on. But either way, watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this. Start with verse 28. It said, and after these things, Jesus went on ahead of them, going up to Jerusalem. When He came near Bethpage and Bethany at the mount called the Mount of Olives, He sent two of His disciples, telling them, okay, if He's telling them, what is He doing? He's speaking. He's saying something. So if He's speaking, what should they be doing?
Listening.
Or what?
Doing.
Hearing. They should be hearing what He's saying.
What's the big difference? Hearing and listening. Yes, sir.
Go into the village yonder. There, as you go, you will find a donkey's coat tied, on which no man has ever sat. Loose it and bring it here. If anybody asks you, why are you untying it? You shall say this, because the Lord has need of it. So those who He sent, went where He sent them and found it just as He told them. And as they were loosening the coats, its owner said to them, why are you untying the coats? And they said, the Lord has need of it. And they brought it to Jesus. They threw their garments over the coat, and set Jesus upon it. Now, watch this. Here is a donkey's colt that nobody was sat on. That Jesus said, go get my colt. Right? He said, if anybody say anything to you, just think about that. In verse 31, he says, if anybody asks you. All right, let's just take a look at this. You got this donkey's colt that is tied up. Jesus has not been to the place where it's tied up, but he knows it's there. He says, go get my coat. And if anybody says anything to you, tell them the Lord has need of it. Then wait. If Jesus said, go get my coat, that sounds like he what? He owned it. If Jesus said, this is where it is, you go get his coat from the place he says it is. I think that's pretty good evidence he must own it. Because it's where he said it is. And he said, bring me my coat. Then he goes on to say, if anybody. Say anybody. But he said if anybody. But why later on down the road in this scripture text, why does it say in verse 33, and as they were loosing the coat, his owner said, wait a minute. It's Jesus' coat. It's where he said it is. It's tied like he said it's tied. And nobody is sat on this coat. And he said, if anybody say to you. He didn't say if the owner say to you. He said, if anybody say to you. Why are you untying this coat? Now, Jesus was sending his two disciples to go get a possession that was before the foundation of the earth was set as his possession, but somebody else had to first birth the colt and raise the colt, keep everybody off the colt, tie the colt up where it needs to be tied up, when it needs to be tied up, watch the colt, protect the colt so it can be sent to the owner. Y'all missed all of that. You missed all of that. Before there was a donkey's colt, God had to birth the donkey to birth the colt. And before God birthed the donkey to birth the colt, God had to birth the donkey to birth the colt so that the colt become a donkey to birth the colt. That's right. God had to make somebody an owner of a set of donkeys just to birth the colt, to birth the donkey, to birth the colt, so the colt could go from the person who owned the donkey to give the colt to the owner, which is Jesus. And it stayed where it was supposed to be till the owner called for it. If God did that with a donkey, what has he given you when he tells you to go and possess the land that he gave you so that you can see the benefit and receive the benefit and possess the benefit and live the benefit and experience the benefit of the possession that he gave you? Amen. It said, and they brought the donkey to Jesus. You notice in this conversation, it said, and the disciples said, and because the Lord has need of it. You didn't hear the owner say, pay me. You didn't hear the owner say, it's mine. Listen, the owner, God, how many generations before Jesus came did God say to that generation that I've chosen you, that through you, my Messiah is going to ride into Jerusalem victorious as the conquering king before he becomes the savior of the world. And somewhere down your lineage, I'm choosing one of your children's children. Just to keep donkeys, to raise a colt, to watch the colt. They got one job, watch the colt. the same as God saying to David, that through your lineage, that my seed will come. And that there'll never be another person sit on the throne of Israel, sit on the throne of my kingdom, except that the person that comes through your loins. And David had to believe that way 2,000 years later, Jesus comes. Or whatever it was. I mean, listen. God's word says that he knows his plans and his thoughts. He has thoughts of good and not of evil. Thought for a good expected end. And he said this about you while you were still a spirit in him. Your parents hadn't even left heaven. But he already chose a particular possession for you and for me, and he just needed us to believe it enough for us to go and possess it so we can possess the benefits of that possession, so that the world will look at us and know that there is a God and that we're called, and that they will come to us so they can know this God.
Amen.
You're still in the earth realm for that purpose. But it don't mean anything if you don't go out and possess the land that he gave you. Because all that you want, that we get on Facebook and complain about. All that you want, that we get with our girlfriends and our guy friends and complain about. All that you want, that we pray about over and over and over and over and over again, but never see results of, is sitting in the place of possession. And we got to go up and we got to possess it. Just like this coat. You know why no man had ever sat on this coat before Jesus sat on it? Because Jesus showed up to get his possession at the time he was supposed to get it. Part of our stuff has been used and abused. Because we've been leaving it in the hands of the wicked too long. The wicked got your money and they think it's theirs. The wicked got your property and they think it's theirs. The wicked got your business, they think it's theirs. The wicked got your place on the stock exchange and they think it's theirs. The wicked got your invention and think it's theirs. Here's what I say. I say, show up and get your stuff. Show up and get your stuff. And no matter how much is broke down, God will restore to you all the years that the locusts and cankerworm is stolen. Come on.